Okay, so sit comfortably. You know, feel free. If you're on the floor and you would rather sit up on blankets, please do, so that you can feel very comfortable in your hips, however you're sitting, whether you're lengthened out or let yourself be cross-legged if that's better for you. And then just really gently let your eyes close, very softly. Feel your eyes closing. Let yourself start to be with your breath. Accepting your breaths in and out through your nose. And if you can let your breath come in to expand your belly a little bit, coming into really feeling the physical movement of the belly as you inhale. Even coming up into those 3-part breaths, if you're able to breathe into the belly and then your ribs and then up into your chest. Good. And on your next exhale, let your arms come on up beside you. Just lightly, if you're on the floor, lightly touching the ground with your fingertips. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline to be in front of our chest. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale the arms straight out from the shoulders and flex your hands, bend your elbows and bring your hands in towards your shoulders. And then press out into the heels of your hands, feel the undersides of your arms there. And then let your fingertips start to go down towards the floor so you feel more of the tops of your arms. And then make loose fists with your hands and let them circle in one direction. So just moving through your wrists. If you need to lower your hands down a little bit to feel better in your shoulders, do. Just really focus on letting the hands circle. We'll reverse direction, go the other way. Good. And then let your arms release on down beside you here now. And let's inhale here at center. And on the exhale, just easily twist to your right, bring yourself around, doesn't matter how far. Just to wake up your spine, let your hands come down to rest wherever's comfortable. Feel that sense of lengthening up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around through center, go all the way into the other direction. It's like you're just swiveling around into the other side. And just be mindful there. Feel that sense of the twist in the middle of your back, waking up your spine here. Good. One more inhale. And then as we exhale, we'll come on back around into center again. And then from here, just easily come a little bit forward and back with your breath. Let your exhales bring you forward with a long back, and your inhales bring you back upright. So it might mean that you only move an inch or two forward, right? Might mean that you like to go farther. So that rocking, gentle rocking motion with your breath, very quieting and calming. Good. And the next time that you end up coming forward, let yourself stay there. This all depends on you, how far you come, as far as using hands to support you if you're on the floor or in your chair, or coming down to elbows above your knees if you're in your chair and that feels good, or going farther or lower, right? You can walk your hands out if you're on the floor. You can let yourself just come to where you feel really easy to be. Release your head, if possible, to let your head hang too. Now, if that puts too much into your neck or your low back, don't do it. And then just watch your breath. Really accept your breaths in and out. Let your face be soft. Good, one more breath. We'll just very easily start to rise up, so be mindful as you come on back up. And from here, if you're on the floor, you're gonna stretch your left leg out, all right? And we're gonna do a figure four where we cross our right ankle above or below our knee. So if you're on the floor, you might wanna cross here. Even in your chair, if you're better off to cross at your ankle, you can, right? Rather than crossing above your knee. And then just sit up nice and tall. Let yourself release here into this right hip. Flex through the foot. If you feel like you want to come a little bit forward because that helps you stretch your hip out a little more, do. If it feels uncomfortable at all, just don't do that, stay upright. So take your time, just let yourself wake up your hip a little bit here. Good. One more breath. And then we'll slowly make our way back up. We are going to switch our legs out. So just coming to that other side again. This is a new leg, so if you need to change a little bit about how you cross or where you cross, do it. And again, flex through that foot. Maybe just sitting up tall is enough for you to release here into the outer left hip. Maybe it feels better to come a little bit forward. Take your time. Just enjoy waking up the hips a little more here. Good. One more breath. And then let's come on back upright, and let's all bring our legs on out in front of us. So if you're in your chair, you can leave your knees bent if you need to. If you're on the floor, stretch your legs out long. And let's flex our feet and then point our feet so that we just come into moving through the feet and the ankles. So flexing and pointing, you can use your own time there. You can go really slowly. You may decide you want to work through your feet a little bit by pressing into the balls of the feet and then pointing your toes. And then you can even draw your toes back and then go ahead and really flex through the feet too. So you can move a little bit more through the feet. Good. Finish off. Let yourself come on. If you were cross-legged on the floor, switch the leg that you have in front. So if you're going to recross and be cross-legged, change legs there so you feel evened out in your hips a little more. And then we'll bring our arms on down. And let's inhale our right arm all the way up. Now I know it depends on your shoulder. Take, if you can, let your left hand arm come over and your hand just kind of come right here to the front, to the ribs, right? So that when you come over into side stretch, you can just release this left arm a little bit, kind of really feel easy. If this bothers your shoulder, don't do it, you know that. Try to kind of keep your hand down low, kind of right here towards your ribs so you can feel the breath coming into the ribs there when you breathe in. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to lower that arm on down. And we're going to switch. So we're trying to rise this arm again. If your shoulder needs to change it a little bit, do. And then bringing that right hand over. And then again, coming into a little bit of a side stretch. See if you can breathe into your hand right there on your ribs. And you feel the movement through the rib cage with your hand there. Good. And then we'll come on back up. And we're going to lower our arms on down beside us here now. And let's inhale the arms all the way back out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And once your hands are there, go ahead and bow your head. Look towards your hands. You can have your eyes open or closed. It depends on you. But separate your pointer fingers. Let them come apart for a second. And then reconnect. And then come to your middle fingers separating a little bit. And then just softly let them come back together and be really aware of feeling the fingers, right? So as you bring your ring fingers apart, when you reconnect, like think about each part of the finger coming back together. And then your pinkies are going to separate a little bit. And then when they come back together again, you're just really focused on that reconnection. And now your thumbs, just a little bit apart. And then again. in, when the thumbs reconnect, really feel now. Now think about all the fingers, your thumbs, and whatever part of your palms actually are touching. Bring your gaze on forward in your seated mountain. Feel your feet, whatever part of your feet are in the floor. Just press down into them a little bit and feel like you're lengthening up through the top of your head. Good. And then we'll release our arms right on down beside us. Move around a little bit with your hands, your feet. We're going to come around towards hands and knees. Not for everybody is hands and knees a good idea. So, you know you've got your chair here. You know too, if you do not want to get down to the seat of your chair, you'd rather be up higher, you can put blocks up in the seat of your chair. You can, if you want, be down on your hands and knees, but if you need support, if you need a blanket underneath your knees, use it, right? So find that nice sense of a neutral spine. Hands are under your shoulders, your feet or your knees are under your hips. And then just start to move through your cat-cow. Now, if your wrists are really bothering you, you can just release your hands and lightly touch your thighs, right? And let yourself find a little bit of movement through your back. So, you know, don't even put your hands down. If it bothers you, if you're having some wrist issues or hand issues, but just see what you can find movement-wise in your spine there. Just warming up the spine, feeling good about moving through your spine. Good. And then finish off the one you're on or that you're moving into. We'll come back to a more neutral spine here now. And we're going to make our way into a lunge, stepping our left foot forward and our right foot back. Now, depending on you, how high you want your hands to be. You know, they can be in the chair seat. You can have your hands down to the floor, or you can use blocks, or you can be up on the back of the chair if you want to be even higher, right? So take your time. Just let the back of that right leg gently open up, not forcing anything. It doesn't have to be a long lunge. Good. And then we're going to switch legs. So bringing the right foot forward and stepping the left foot back. And again, really being mindful of just finding that alignment of that front knee. You know, you don't want that knee to go farther forward than your ankle. Feel the heel of the left foot reaching directly behind you. Just enjoy coming into stretching out that left back of that left leg. And we're going to switch again, bringing that left foot forward and the right foot back. Take your time. Second time around sometimes feels a little bit stronger. You may even decide you want to get a little bit longer in your stance. Just engage a little bit by pressing your feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. And zip up your low belly a little bit. Really engage that low belly. Good. We're going to switch legs again. And again. As you press the feet away from each other and you feel that engagement of the low belly there, draw your shoulders down, let yourself enjoy coming up into your hips and feeling the strength in your leg. And from here, let's come on forward into standing forward bend. So you know, any kind of support you need. Putting a block or two blocks up in the seat of a chair, if you need to be higher, is really amazing. I mean, you can be in your forward bend without feeling any kind of stress in your back. And you can really allow the backs of your legs just to easily open up here. And again, if you're able to let your head hang and feel the weight of your head, bless you. You can maybe feel a little more space in your spine that way. But you know, it's fine to keep your back lengthened. And not folding all the way to be upside down, but instead giving yourself some support. Watch your breaths all the way in and out. Really feel easy about breathing deeply and fully. Good. Well, one more breath here. And then we're going to let our hands come on up to our hips, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, let our hands come down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, and that might mean you want to adjust a little bit, right? So even look at your feet, make sure you've got yourself fairly parallel with your feet, and pretty much where you have your hip pointer bones lined up with the center of your feet. Everybody's a little bit different in their mountain pose. You can have your feet a little closer or a little farther apart, right? And then, whether your eyes are open or closed, just bringing your gaze on out as though you're looking at the horizon. Feel length in the back of your throat if you can. So you have this sense that you're not tucking your chin back, right? But you're also not jutting your chin forward. Instead, there's this sense of openness in the back of your throat and your neck, and you can lengthen upward through the top of your head. Feet firmly grounded. Pelvis aligned, tailbone reaching down towards between your heels a little, maybe even behind your heels. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us, and we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, we're going to bend our knees and fold forward from the hips into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a long, flat back. And you can do that by having your hands on the chair or your legs or your blocks. Find that kind of tabletop flat back. And this time, right foot is going to step back into lunge. So press the feet gently away from each other. Let your shoulders draw down away from your ears. Inhale. And on your exhale, come into your down dog. So remember, everybody's down dog is different. It does not matter whether your hands are up high or down low. You can put blocks on the seat of your chair and be up a little higher with your torso, and maybe even feel a little better in your hands and your wrists. So lengthening through the spine, reaching back through that tailbone, letting yourself just enjoy. You can bend your knees, remember, in dog. You can walk if it feels good to walk, bending one knee at a time and letting yourself come a little more into the backs of your leg. Good. On the next inhale, we're going to come out towards a plank, like you're going to do a push-up, but of course you don't need to go that far. You don't need to do these at all. If you want to put your knees down, you can. If you want to come to your forearms, you can. New form. You can do little push-ups if you want. And then we're going to make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Reaching back equally through those sitting bones so you feel equally long through the sides of your body. We're going to bring our right foot forward this time to come into lunge. So however you need to get that foot forward, whatever you need to do, put a knee or knees down if you need. And then we'll come all the way back into our standing forward bend with feet hip distance apart and parallel. And then just be mindful. Use whatever kind of support you need to be comfortable. Let your knees soften if you need to. Let yourself feel the breaths again, coming in and going out fully and deeply. If you can, count when you breathe in and think of reaching pretty much that same count when you breathe out. Just letting the inhales and exhales get a little closer to the same length. Good, and then from here, we're going to bend our knees and bring our hands to our hips and rise on up to standing. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. From here, let your hands slide over to the front of your left shoulder and tilt your head the other way. So your right ear comes towards your right shoulder. Let yourself release maybe a little deeper in the side of the neck there. And then we'll come back up to center, and we're going to go the other way. So slide your hands over to the other side. Let your left ear come towards your left shoulder. See if you can just let the weight of the head help you release through the side of your neck a little. And then we'll come on back into center again. Let's keep the hands together. Inhale them right up through the midline of the body. Keep them together as long as you can. And then when you exhale, let them come back down through the midline of the body. So just a couple of those. So feeling your shoulders, and I know not everybody likes to go very high. I mean, you can go in front of your face, you can go all the way up overhead if you want. And then when you exhale, the hands come back down. So this last time, we're going to inhale them all the way out and up overhead. Then we're going to open them like wings and fold forward from our hips to come into our standing forward bend. On your next inhale, again, find that nice flat tabletop back. And we're gonna step the left foot back this time and come into lunge. As your shoulders drawing down away from your ears now, be aware of feeling your belly engaging a little bit. Inhale, and exhale into your downward facing dog pose of choice. So you know, be really mindful. Does not matter where you have your hands, high, up on the back of the chair, the seat, or down the blocks or the floor. Hug your elbows a little bit towards each other so you can feel your shoulders engage in a nice way. And we're going to come on out towards a plank. Now, this is again totally optional to do any kind of plank pose. If you want to put your knees down, you can do a half plank. You can get your forearms down and do a forearm plank. And if you like to do push-ups, you can bend your elbows, let them come in towards your rib cage. Maybe just a tiny little bit of a bend might be enough. And then we'll make our way back into down dog again. Good. Walk your dog if you need. Let your head turn a little bit side to side. If it feels okay in your neck, you can just turn and look to the right and then to the left. And then meet back again in your full dog. And we'll bring our left foot forward to find our lunge. So again, if you need to put your right knee down or both knees down to get into that lunge, do. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. So again, just be mindful. If you need to rest your elbows above your knees, if you need to let yourself put your hands on blocks, do anything that feels good for you. And then watch those breaths. All the way in, all the way out. Feel the face really relaxing. Think about all around your eyes and your mouth, just softening. Good. One more breath. And then as we bend our knees, we're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And now just sit back into a little chair pose. Don't worry about going really deeply. Your torso comes a little forward. It's really like you're about to sit in a chair, right? So you have to counterbalance there by the body coming a little forward as your hips go back. And you can feel your thighs working. Yeah, if you want to go deeper, go deeper. If you feel like, well, I'd like to go a little bit more of a bend in my knees. If you shift your weight a little more to your heels, sometimes that's better. Good. Strong legs, strong all the way around your knees and up into your thighs and your hips. Press into your feet, come right on back up and inhale your hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings and fold into your standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find that nice flat, long tabletop back. And this time we're going to walk into down dog. We just put our hands, whatever surface we like to use, and make our way back into finding that extended spine. Nice long back, equally long through the sides of our body. Good. On your next inhale, come on out towards your plank. It is optional to do any kind of back bend here, and you all know that. So you can stay in plank. You can come into whatever pose you want. If you want to do a back bend, you can do a sphinx or a cobra or an up dog. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Take your time, walk a little bit, or maybe it feels good to bend both your knees in your dog. If that feels really good, you can let yourself feel your knees bend and let your belly come towards your thighs. And then we're going to do that same out to plank, and again, back bend optional. So you can come down to the floor and do a sphinx, come onto your forearms, or do a little cobra, or do an up dog or a full cobra. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Nice. From here, we'll bring our right foot forward and come into lunge. Press the feet gently away from each other. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Good. And we'll come on back into standing forward bend from here. And again, just release as much as you can. So support, good idea. If you can put some support underneath you so that you can feel released with letting your head hang, and you can feel released and not any sense of, discomfort in your back, right, or anywhere else. Following your breath all the way in and all the way out. Good, and then let your hands come on up to your hips. We're going to press into our feet as we rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our pelvis. And from here, just bring your right arm on top of your left and give yourself a little bit of a hug. And you can go lower, down more towards your armpits. You can go up over the top of your shoulders. And you know, if this bothers your shoulders at all, don't do it. From here, just turn your head a little bit to look one way, and then come back, keep your chin pretty parallel to the floor and turn to look the other way. And then come back and let your head tilt a little bit one way. And then release and let it tilt the other. And then come back into center, and we're going to release to switch the arm on top, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and bring my left arm on top. And again, you can hold lower. You can hold up over your shoulders. You know, you may have to be uneven depending on what's happening with things in your shoulders, right? Your arms. From there, just turn a little bit to look one way. Again, keeping your chin pretty parallel to the floor. Turn back and let your head turn the other way. And then come back into center and see if you can tilt your head one way. And then come back up and let it tilt the other. And then come on back and let yourself release. Arms on down beside you. Swing them a little bit. Just swing your arms a little bit. Like really swing so that you're not forcing them. You're kind of like swinging them. It helps sometimes to swing back with straight arms once and then with your elbows once. So once you get that momentum going, now it's almost like you're just, throwing something behind you, right? Feels really easy, relaxed in your shoulders. Good. And from here, I'm going to turn my chair around. We're going to do some warriors. Do have your blocks handy by the front of your mat in case you need them. So we're going to step forward towards our chair or the front of our mat, and we'll step our right foot back to come into warrior one. So remember, warrior one stance can be 2 feet apart, 3 feet, 4 feet, however far back. But as you step that right foot back and you get your shoulders square to the front of your mat here, all right? You may decide you want to widen your stance if you feel lack of balance, all right? Bring the shoulders on around, bring your hands to your heart here. Let yourself bend that front knee. Remember, you can look down at it. You should be able to see your toes when you look down. You don't want to bend that knee out beyond your toes and put undue pressure on your knee. And then go ahead and let your gaze come forward. Let yourself just enjoy this very basic warrior one pose. Think about the arches of your feet lifting up. This back foot is turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. But you really feel an openness in the front of your right back hip there. And now let's release our arms right down beside us. And we're going to make one big arm circle, releasing forward with the arms, inhaling them up and over the top, and only go as far back as you can as you exhale them down the back. And then we're going to inhale them rising on back up and coming into a wide V here. Turn your pinkies a little towards each other, drop your shoulders down. You can look up a little higher if you want. And if you can bend your elbows and clasp your hands and let them come just to be right at the back of your head, do. Obviously, if your shoulder or something doesn't cooperate with that, don't do it. But see, if you do have your hands there, feel the head gently coming into your hands. And feel that openness across your chest. It's like somebody has a string attached to your sternum and they're drawing it up on this long diagonal line. Let's extend our arms right back into that wide open V. And then go ahead, bring your gaze forward. Let your hands come to be in front of your heart. And from here, think about if you were just going to lean a tiny bit forward, which puts more weight into this front leg, right? You're going to feel your thigh a little bit more, but you're keeping length. You're not trying to fold or bow forward. Feel both feet in the floor. Feel your belly engaging. Good. We're going to release on down with our hands and find a lunge by releasing that right heel more directly behind our foot. And you can be up high. You can be up on the back of the chair to do this. You don't have to be down low. So let the heel go directly behind. And And then we'll bring our left hand to our left hip and roll on up into a little twist here. So you can have your hand on your low back. You can stretch your arm up overhead if you want to. Totally up to you whether you want to reach the arm up from your shoulder or keep your hand down. Find that twist in the middle of your back. Good. One more breath. And then we'll go ahead and bring our hand on down to lunge. And we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And bend our knees, press equally into our feet. Rising on up, inhaling our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down. See if you can think about your head getting higher up towards the ceiling. Feel your chin parallel to the floor. Find your mountain pose here. Think of that very light connection through your hands, right? So you're lightly feeling your fingers come together, your thumbs. Good. And then we'll go ahead and release. Shake out a little bit. Walk around if you need to. We're going to go to the other side. So this time as you step forward towards the front of your mat, it's the left foot's going to step back. So again, how far you step back and also how wide you step back is up to you. That back foot is in that little bit of an angle. And it depends on you how comfortable you are, how much of an angle that is. But it's about 20, 30 degrees. And then check out the alignment of that front knee. Let yourself really make sure that knee is not going out beyond your toes. And bring your hands to your heart and let your gaze come forward. Feeling very equal now between your feet all the way up through your legs and your hips. That sense of being balanced, really. And then we'll unfold our arms. We're going to make that big arm circle. Inhaling the arms forward and up. And now this all depends on shoulders as best you can, bringing them on back behind you. And then when you inhale this time and bring them up, stay in that wide V. The arms can be forward if you need. You know, you don't have to bring the arms by your ears. Turn your pinkies inward a little bit. Feel that lift. And then this is another one that's only if it feels good to clasp your hands behind your head, right? So sometimes the shoulders don't want to do that or hands, but just see if you can let yourself feel your head coming into your hands if you have them there. Really enjoying that, again, that sense of balance through the body here in your warrior one. We're going to reach back into long arms again, into that wide open V. And then bring your hands right back down to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Spread your fingers a little bit. And now that little leaning, right? So it's just coming into a nice long diagonal line down the back of the body. You're not breaking in the back or the hips, right? It's really a nice long line. Feel the feet in the floor. Good. We're going to lower our hands down to find lunge. So again, how low you want to go. You can have your hands up on the back of the chair. You can go down lower if you want, right? Totally up to you. And from there, we'll bring our right hand to our right hip and let yourself roll that shoulder up. You can put your hand on your low back. You can stretch your arm up if your shoulder feels good to do that. If you can, imagine that your head is a part of your spine. Sometimes it's tempting to drop our head in this. Try to feel like your head is just part of the spine. Your spine just keeps going up through the back of your neck and up through the back of your head, right? And then we're going to release and come on back down. And we're going to step forward. Come on into getting your feet underneath you. Press into your feet. Rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So for a second, just sway a little tiny bit from side to side, right? You can look wherever you feel good to look, but just let yourself shift your weight from one foot to the other foot. Not so much you want to fall over, but so that then they get smaller and smaller, those shifts do, and you get back to where you're like, oh, I'm right in the middle. Where you feel very balanced between your right and your left side. Let yourself just enjoy whether your eyes are open or closed. Feel the space around you. Really imagine the space around you is holding you up. So it's very effortless to be in your mountain pose. And we're going to unfold our arms right on down beside us again and move around however you need. If you need to walk around a little bit. And we still want the back of the chair turned to face us. This time, we're gonna step our right foot back into warrior two. So getting that right foot parallel to the back edge of our mat, letting the left foot be parallel to the long edge. And bend that left knee and take a peek. Make sure you're aligned there. It feels good. And now as your arms come down, start to turn to look back over your right shoulder. Start to rise your right arm so that it's reaching right back from your shoulder. And you know, that's easier said than done. Some of us, our shoulders don't want to do that. If you have to keep the arm down, do. And then turn your head on back around to look over your left shoulder and start to do the same thing with your left arm coming up. Feel that gaze right out over the top of your left hand. Sort of feel that sense of really focusing out beyond your fingertips. Feet in the floor equally. And then from here, put your right hand just down on your right hip. We're going to straighten our left leg out. And we're going to bring our left hand down for triangle. So I like to use a chair. I can put my hand right here and just rest it on the back of the chair and feel very lengthened through both sides of my body. Now you can go lower. Sometimes the idea of going lower feels better if your feet are farther apart. So if you kind of want to adjust a little bit in your stance, you can as you bring your hand to a different level. And then just roll your right shoulder up towards the ceiling. If you want to stretch your right arm up, you can. Totally optional. Totally fine to keep your hand down on your hip. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. Let yourself, again, imagine your head as part of your spine. Good. We're going to come up from here back to warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we go. Gets us right back into that core strength. And our hands are going to release down now. We're going to turn our feet more parallel as we face the long edge of the right side of the mat there. And then come on forward. You know, if you need the blocks, you just grab your blocks as you come on into a wide-legged forward bend. But at first, once you kind of get set that way, and you get your feet set, bend your knees and see if you can rest your elbows above your knees. So that you find that nice long back. You're reaching back through your tailbone. And you're finding a nice flat, long back here. And that can feel really good. You can stay there if you prefer to stay there. I know some of you like to bring your hands down towards either blocks or the floor and come farther forward or even more upside down with your head, right? Totally optional. In other words, be mindful. If it doesn't feel good, you need to readjust in any way. If you need to stack blocks up and kind of get out of your hands, but stay with yourself into that long back with support out in front of you, do that. And then just watch the breath. Going in and going out. See if you can. Feel the little spaces between your breaths, but take time to appreciate the little spaces so that when you inhale and you get to the end of your inhale and you feel that little pause. Imagine you can relax deeper there, and then when you exhale, you'll come to the end of the exhale and you'll again feel a slight little space. Imagine you're relaxing even more. Just take time to give yourself those little spaces between the breaths and feeling like you're releasing deeper there. Almost like you're getting lost in those little spaces between your breaths. And then when you get ready to rise up from here, you want to be really mindful. You've been there a while from these forward bends. If you're at all dizzy, it is not uncommon, okay? So just be really mindful and hold on to something if you need to. If you've got a chair there, you feel a little iffy, then be slow about it. And we're going to come to the other side with that. So this time it'll be the left foot that steps back to come into warrior two. Remember, our heels are pretty much in a line in warrior two. That back foot for most of us is almost parallel to the back edge, but you can send your heel back farther if that feels okay in your foot, your ankle, and your knee. And then bending that front knee. You know, if you need support, hold on to the chair. Look back over your left shoulder. Let yourself start to rise that arm back behind you and look back at it so that you feel like you know it's right there back from your shoulder. And then turn your head on back around so that you can look over your right shoulder and float that right arm on up into line into your warrior two arms. Softening the tops of the shoulders down, feeling your feet equal in the floor. So finding that strength of your warrior two. And the balance, right? Front to back, side to side. We'll put our left hand down on our left hip. We're going to straighten our right leg out and bring our right hand down for triangle. So again, it's not about how low you go. You can have your hand up high. You can have it up high on your leg. You can lower your hand down if you want to a block or down your leg lower. Roll that left shoulder up. And if you prefer to add the arm, you can bring that arm straight on up from your shoulder. That is totally optional. Be where you can. Feel that length of the spine. The thighs engaging upwards, so there's work in the legs here. And there's that extension through the spine. Good. We're going to bend that right knee. We're going to come on back to warrior two. Let the feet press gently away from each other to get you right back into that core strength. And we'll let our hands come down. We're going to turn again towards the left long edge of our mat now. And come on forward. So you may want to grab your blocks again. Once you get your hands to whatever surface you want to use, go ahead and bend a knee at a time. Let yourself just easily bend one knee and then the other. Take your time, get yourself set how far apart you want your feet. Remember, we're attempting to have our feet fairly parallel. I know some people, though, they have to turn their feet a little either sort of pigeon-toed like or even the other way sometimes. So just be mindful. Let yourself start to release into wherever you can stay in the pose. And stacking blocks up is fine to use however you want. Maybe you like that elbows above the knees, way of supporting your back. Maybe you like blocks underneath your head, right? Or your forearms. So just be, again, let the most important thing just be to stay with your breath. Following your breaths all the way in and all the way out. One more nice full deep breath. And again, as you start to come back up from this one, you can adjust however you need. If you need to change how far apart your feet are before you come up, by all means do. And be mindful, if you're dizzy, you need to keep your feet wide a little bit, you can bring your feet on together, kind of move around a little bit through your feet and your ankles. So let's leave our mats right where they are, but let's walk to a wall, okay, where you can just put your fingertips on a wall somewhere, and there's plenty of space. Somebody can come up here if they want to, or there's a lot of room just to, or you can hold a bookcase. Put your left hand on the wall for a second, and then we'll stand on our left foot, and let's bring our left foot in for, right foot in for tree pose into either below your knee, or you can always reach down and bring your foot up into your inner thigh if you want. That's totally up to you. You want to be able to keep your hips square to the wall you're facing, right, to that direction you're facing. See, at first, keep your left hand on the wall for a second. Keep your gaze forward. And then see about bringing your right arm up overhead. And you can do it at like a wide half of a V if you want, or you can bring it right over your shoulder. And then you can let that left hand kind of trail up higher up the wall too, so that if you need to, you can use the wall to keep your fingers on, or you can release the wall and come into a little balance there. Just take your time. Let it feel really good. One more breath. And then release and come on down. We're going to turn to face the wall, okay? And now, just stand on your right foot and bend your left knee so that the foot comes behind So the knees are side by side for a quad stretch. Now you can reach back with your left hand and get the whole hold of the top of your left foot if you can. Not necessary to do that. If you have the foot, you can kind of pull the heel in towards the outer buttocks a little bit. And then some of you might even want to send the knee back behind the right knee and let your chest come towards the wall a little bit. That's up to you. Pressing the foot into your hand now instead of pulling the heel in towards your buttock. One more breath. And then let the knee come on back down, and we're going to turn right hand towards the wall. We're going to stand on our right foot, and we're going to come into tree pose. Bringing the left foot in. Maybe you want to keep your heel on your inner ankle with the toes on the ground. Maybe you want to put the foot into your inner calf. Maybe you want to bring it up into your inner thigh. And from here, again, if you can, let that outside arm rise up, do. If it bothers your shoulders, feel free to keep your hands at your heart. You can stretch your right inside arm up the wall. And again, if you want to let go of the wall, you can. If not, you've got your fingers right there. Just play in your tree pose. If you start to kind of fall, right, put your foot down, readjust, try again. Feel that uplift in the front of that right supporting leg there. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release and come on back down to turn to face the wall. And we're going to bend the right knee and let yourself flex the foot. Now that's a quad stretch even if you don't get your foot, right? If you do want to reach back and get hold of the top of the foot, you can pull your heel in more towards your outer buttocks a little bit. And then of course, if you like to push your foot into your hand and let the knee go back behind you and your chest come forward, you can. So just coming into a quad stretch, and you can do that without holding your foot. You can still lean in towards the wall a little bit, right? Let the knee come back behind you a bit. Good. And then from there, put that foot down, step back from the wall, and come either onto your fists like you're doing a plank at the wall. If your wrists bother you and you need to do, your hands bother you, you need to do fists, do. If you can come flat onto your hands, do. Bring your hands right out from your shoulders. See if you can. Just inhale and rise your heels up a little bit, and exhale, let them come back down. So you just inhale, you rise your heels up a little bit. Now when you do, you're staying really solid. Your belly is engaging. You're not coming into anything except just the heels rising and then lowering. Good. Now the next time you rise your heels up a little bit, let them stay there. And then bend your elbows a little bit. You can go all the way into the wall for a push-up if you want. And then you're going to release back long. So do a couple of little push-ups here if you can. Letting yourself come into the wall and back out. You can go any speed you want. If you want to be through them fast because you hate them, that's fine. I understand. If you want to go really slow all the way in and all the way out, do that. Good. And then finish the one you're on. And from here, we're going to step back and let ourselves head towards a down dog at the wall. Now, if possible, you can try to get yourself where you're about 90-degree angle at your hips. That means your back is flat and about parallel to the floor. That's not for everybody, certainly. If you can, get your feet right underneath your hips and feel that length of your spine too. Good. One more breath there. Nice. And then let yourself walk on back in towards the wall. Turn your back to the wall. And then let your hands come clasped behind you so that they're like right there at your bottom. Put your head back into the wall and let your feet start to walk out just a little bit. Doesn't need to be far. See if you can keep your chin pretty parallel to the floor. I mean, you can look up a little bit, but you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that horrible release there into, having yourself really make your neck feel uncomfortable. So Just keep your gaze mainly forward. Let yourself just enjoy opening up through the front of the body. You know, if you feel even more comfortable, you can reach back and hold your forearms or your elbows back behind you there. Keep the belly lifted, right? It's a back bend. Take your time opening across the chest. Good. And we're going to shift our hips back to the wall. Undo your hands here now. And we're going to walk back over to our mats, and we're going to come down onto our bellies on the floor. So, you might just move your chair kind of out of the way, get your way. And then come on down. Rest your forehead on your hands for a second. Let yourself release there. You can bend your knees if you want to, and circle your feet, or do windshield wiper blades. Good. And then from here, let's see about just very easily lifting your head up a little bit off your hands. So you just inhale, you float your head up, your chest is off the floor. See how it feels. Now, if you feel pretty strong from there, see if you can reach your arms towards the corners of your mat. So you're still up a little bit with your chest, okay, not high. And then bring the hands back under and put your head down on your hands again. And then from here, lift your right leg up and feel like somebody's pulling your leg longer, right? They have a hold of your ankle and they're just stretching it down towards the bottom of your mat. And then lower it down and do the left leg. Lift it up. Imagine somebody's pulling it longer and longer, and then let it come down. And then see if you can lift both your head and your legs at the same time. You can keep your hands just right there on the mat. And now, if you are able to unfold your arms down this time, down alongside you, into locust pose. Turn the palms down towards the ground. Let yourself feel that strength of the back body. You don't have to be high in locust pose to really benefit in your back, strengthening. Good. And then come on down, turn your palms up, turn your left cheek towards the mat. Now, this could be really uncomfortable or it could feel like hugest relief, right? Sometimes the way how you have your head turns makes a huge difference. Like, if it feels uncomfortable, maybe lift the head up, get your ear down closer towards the ground, maybe? Or sometimes it's just the opposite. You kind of want to lift the chin up a little away from your shoulder. Everybody's different. Just to a place where you feel like, okay, I can stay here and breathe. Breathe into your low back. So literally feeling the belly expand and feeling the low back rise. Good, now we're just going to turn our head the other way. So again, be mindful if you have to adjust to get your head to where your neck is comfortable, do. Breathe into the low back. We'll let you get okay where you have your head, how you have it angled. Good. And then we're going to come back to center, but let's come on to our forearms up into a little sphinx pose here now. So turning your palms down towards the ground, bringing your gaze maybe just a little forward and between your hands. You know, if this bothers your back, slide your elbows down more towards your waist. And then clasp your hands, send your pinky out, lift yourself up into a half forearm plank where you're on the flesh above your knees. And you can imagine you're pulling yourself towards the front of your mat. So really, literally, pull forward. Feel how your belly engages. Keep your feet flexing. Let yourself just enjoy that strength. Now, if you want to do a full forearm plank, go right ahead. Put your toes down, lift up into that full forearm plank if you choose to. So if that feels better for you or it feels equally good, if you like to try it, you can go up there and stay, or you can stay in that half forearm plank. One more breath, whichever one you're doing. And then we'll release down, and we're going to head back towards pose of a child from here. So, you know, everybody's pose with a child might not be the same. You may need to leave your bottom up more high in the air so you're not so deeply bent in your knees, right? You may feel just fine to shift your hips back towards your heels. Remember, how far apart your knees are is up to you. You can keep your arms overhead. You can let your arms be soft. You can reach them long overhead if that feels good. Or you can even bring your arms back alongside your legs and turn the palms up if that feels more releasing for you. That sometimes puts a little bit more into the back and the hips, so just be mindful. Take some time. One more breath. And now when you do come up to sitting, we are going to come around to sitting with our legs in front of us. So take your time, and if you need to grab a blanket to sit on, you want to be up higher on something, by all means, a block or a block and a blanket, or just a blanket or two, do. Stretch your legs on out, and if you need to circle a little bit with your feet, do little wiper blades if you want. And then, let's bring our left leg a little more like towards the midline of our body. And bring our right foot over. Now you can cross to the outside either below or above your knee. And that is totally up to you. And if being on the outside doesn't work, keep it on the inside, right? So that you feel okay where you are. And then just take a second here, just to lengthen up through the top of your head. So you're holding just below your knee there. You're finding length upward through the top of your head. One more inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to bring our right hand on around behind us and come into twist. So you can keep your left hand on your knee or your shin. Bring that right hand just fingertips down to lightly touch the floor back there behind you. And if you want, if your knee's really close to you and you want to either go across to the outside of it or hook your elbow around that knee, you can. That's totally up to you. Wherever the knee, it just depends on how close the knee is in towards you. So take your time, let yourself just enjoy. Feel the sense of that left rib cage coming towards your right inner thigh. And if you need to kind of back out a little bit out of the twist when you inhale, do it. And then maybe on an exhale, you can go a little bit deeper into your twist. One more breath. And then very slowly come on back around, and we're going to switch our legs out. So just stretching that leg out, bringing it a little more to the midline. If you're going to cross over to the outside, that is. Again, you can have your foot on the inside, but lengthening up, feeling that sense of space in your spine first, so that when you do exhale and you come around, you're doing it from that huge length through your spine, right? So it makes it so much easier to twist when you have all the space between the vertebrae there. And you can, again, have your hand on your knee, you can hook your elbow, you can bring your arm across to the outside of the knee there if you want. But just enjoy. Also, feel that right heel on the ground a little bit. Draw the heel back towards you so you're energized all the way into that long leg. And feel how this is feeling up into your buttock on your left side, right? Good. One more breath here. And now when you do come back, be mindful as you unwind yourself on back around, stretch your legs on out again, shake out a little bit. So we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So how you get down there is up to you. If you like to roll down, you can roll down. Don't do that if your back bothers you. You know, you can roll down like with long legs. You can have your knees bent. You can just let yourself come down without rolling too. Just get onto your back however you want. Once you get down there, bring your right knee in towards your chest, flex through both your feet. Feel your right leg coming into your hands a little bit. Let yourself enjoy letting the spine align itself. Good. Now we're going to switch legs to bring the left knee in and extend the right leg long. Again, feel that just gently pressing your left leg into your hands. Good. And then bring both knees in and let the knees come side to side, or if you prefer to circle your knees, you can let your knees circle. Right? Just where you feel really good in your low back and your hips. And then, let your arms come on out beside you. Bring your legs up in the air, and you can do a couple little bicycles up there if you want, or maybe even just back and forth like you're cross-country skiing up there on the ceiling. Whatever feels good. Just putting a little motion into the legs with the feet up there on top. And then come on back and let the legs come wide. Now, you may at a wide angle not feel comfortable to let your legs hang as far as they'll go, because it might be too much. You can always put your hands on the outside of your legs and kind of help them, support them a little bit so that they don't just hang there in space. If you like the hanging in space, you know that feels really good in your inner thighs, then go for it. If not, don't bring them so wide, and let your hands kind of just give you a little support there. And find what feels good in your hips and your legs. Good. And then we're going to rise the legs on back up in the air, and let's bring our feet onto the floor here now. Stretch your arms out beside you. Let your feet separate a little wider. And let's let the knees come over to one side. And then when you're ready, come up through the center and go to the other side. Now, you may want to do these moving. You may want to inhale the knees up into center and exhale them to one side and down towards the ground. Or you may want to hang out on one side and not move for a little bit, and then change. So these little twists, let your body adjust and do what feels really good to you, right? Whether you like that little continuous flowing back and forth, or maybe just staying on one side. And start right now to listen to your own body. There might be something else after you do a few of those that you want to do. If you need another twist that's a little bit deeper, you're more than welcome. You can bring one knee in, bring it across. You can do one of those cross thigh twists if that feels really good to you. In other words, maybe there's something else. Maybe you need to do a bridge pose, or supported bridge pose, or maybe another happy baby, another hip opener like a Baddha Konasana. Remember, Baddha Konasana you can do either with your feet in the air and opening your knees out to the side, or your feet on the floor and opening your knees out from there. These are all just suggestions. Obviously, your body might not want to do any of that, or it might want to do a stretch of your own that really isn't a yoga pose. Just be mindful, kind of feel good about what your body, or how your body wants to do, really, or what it wants to do. Because, this is the best part of class right now. And I would love to start to bring anybody anything they need, like bolsters. I have a few inklings, so I'll bring the inklings first, and then I will. Yeah? Better? You still want this though? Yeah. Stupid question. So, you want something under your head?
No, that's good.
Cover. Anybody want cover? So wave at me. I'm walking through. I would love to bring a bolster, a blanket, anything that anybody would like for any sort of support. And take your time. If you need to let your arms or legs move a little bit to find a better place to release, do. Enjoy feeling supported by the ground now. Feeling that sense of the body softens and relaxes. It feels so good to have that firmness of the floor supporting you. And you can relax even deeper as you start to watch your breath. Watch the wave of the breath coming in and going out. Body and your mind respond to the breaths, getting really quieter, a little more shallow. Your body is going to come into those little places where it has time to benefit from all you just did, those little quiet places. Just give yourself the gift of these few minutes. Keep returning to your breath over and over and over again. And allow yourself to completely and fully relax. stay on your back. You're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side. If you're on your side, you might want to use your arms as a pillow. Be in a soft fetal position. Be really mindful. Letting yourself gradually come back to physically moving. And when you're ready to rise to sitting, imagine you're floating your way up if you can so that you can stay very relaxed and feel soft still and muscles. It's almost like your bones take over when you're sitting so that you start to feel your spine lengthening up and you can stay really easy in your hips and your shoulders, feeling nice and open across your chest. Coming back then to watching your breath as it comes in and goes out through your nose. And on your next exhale, letting your hands come to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Thursday.
Yeah.
It's the 24th.
Yeah, I think it is. So, just a reminder, and I'll be sending an email, I didn't want to send it too early to get people confused, but I will be leaving next week. I'll have class Monday and Tuesday, and then I am going to Alexandria, Virginia.
Is it about the time for your granddaughter's birthday?
This is actually my son and his fiance just moved. They got engaged, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Look at the cherry
Finally, it
blossoms.
only took 10 years, and yes, the cherry blossoms are blooming.
Yes, I hope they're gonna be so pretty.